Reconnection successful.
Aha! Okay. Well, I think we're back on after a brief internet outage from my lovely Spectrum internet service.
Are we back on?
I hope so.
All right.
Yeah, we're showing live.
All
I
right.
do believe. All
Welcome back, everybody.
So we I don't think we babbled on too very long there before
I think where we were at when we were so rudely interrupted was we were talking about DK Metcalf's picture of him working out. Now this guy is just absolutely jacked. So to see 6'4", 230, it really does seem like a conservative estimate or a flat out lie. So if you Google his photo, you're going to see what we're talking about. I've never seen a wide receiver look this big. He actually looks more like a defensive lineman or a linebacker.
Yeah, when I saw his picture, I would have thought this guy looks more like a really stacked safety, or kind of maybe even a smallish inside linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
He was just ripped, looked huge. So it's going to be interesting to see him. And who are people comparing him to?
Actually, there's some people drawing comps to Josh Gordon, a guy of his stature, his size, his ability, his speed, his just raw athleticism. This guy's incredible. So that's one of the big takeaways with DK Metcalf. In 2018, had 26 receptions for 569 yards, 5 touchdowns. He had a long of 75, but he broke his foot his freshman year, and he had a neck injury in this last year. So he wasn't asked to run a full route tree in college, but have your stopwatch ready at the combine, Flip. Very well could make or break his value in the draft.
Definitely so. A guy this size, is he really going to come out with the speed of Josh Gordon, or is he going to be closer to David Funchess?
I've watched video of this guy over and over, and the more I watch, the more I'm impressed. The more I start to really buy into DK Metcalf and jumping on that train. So I'm a big fan. I wouldn't be shocked to see him go in the top 15.
Yeah. So that leads us into where the draft nicks have him. So Walter Football has him at 32.
What?
Draft Tech has him at 22. Fantasy Pros, here you go. Well, no, 24. Just kidding. And then the always impressive, the Draft Wire.
See, the Draft Wire. There's my boys.
Yeah, they do have him at 14.
Yeah.
Whoever they really are.
Well, they just rose. Their credibility just rose a lot.
Wow. Or that might have just destroyed your credibility.
Oh, that's probably the latter is probably true there.
He's definitely an intriguing guy, even with his injury history. That's going to be the big flag.
Mm-hmm.
And, here's a guy, he's got to produce at the combine, I think, to really solidify that first round stock of his, or possibly even first wide receiver off the board.
And when you look at this guy, again, just his size, his strength, his just raw athleticism, if you can groom this guy and he finds a way to just bring it all together, I mean, he's going to be a monster at the next level. Yeah, I said it. Monster. Yes.
Monster.
So dynasty guys.
It definitely a guy, to have on your radar. I'm not so sure. I guess it all depends on where he goes, whether he would even be like a redraft type of a guy.
Yeah, if he goes to somewhere like the Jets, but if he goes there, it is an opportunity to shine. And man, I really like the potential of this guy.
The next guy on the list, Inkill Harry. Tell us about him.
6'4", 213, another big guy. He's a junior out of Arizona State. Great ball skills, acrobatic footwork, outstanding hands. He's not the fastest guy, though. I mean, overall athleticism and talent makes him look like a guy who could be a wide receiver one. Some people comparing him to like a Devin Funchess type guy, Laquan Treadwell.
Yeah, people are a little bit leery of, where is his real speed? what's his speed going to be? Even though, he totaled 73 receptions for 1,088 yards and 9 touchdowns. He declared for the 2019 NFL draft, after the regular season. I don't think he... So, great hands, great catch radius. Is he going to be a first-round guy?
Many have him going in the first round. That's what I've been reading. Of course, this is all pretty early, but...
Yes, definitely. I mean, and it's tough to come with these projections even before they go to the combine, let alone their pro day.
Right.
Let alone, there's not a ton of info on these guys. And, as far as the fantasy sites that are projecting them, In Kill Harry going 49th for Walter Football. Draft Tech has him going 34th, so just barely out of the first round. 49th again for Fantasy Pros. The Draft Wire, here you go, 22.
22.
Yeah. You're going to have to get on them and make them your homepage.
We'll see. We'll see.
Maybe going too far?
Yeah. Considering I don't know who they are, but
you're not missing anything. Next guy on the list, A.J. Brown.
Another Ole Miss guy.
They're all over the place.
They are. This guy, not quite as big as Metcalf, but he's 6'1", 230. He's a junior. Another guy with outstanding hands and ball skills. This guy can go up and get the ball as well as simply pluck the ball off the defenders' heads on vertical rests on the sidelines. So that's a huge asset to have, someone that can go up and catch those contested catches. So similar to Harry, he's not the fastest, but his size and strength will help him absolutely dominate smallish corners at the next level. He had 85 receptions last year, 1,320 yards, 6 scores. Fits best, I think, that in a West Coast offense where he can utilize those yards after catch skills that he has.
Another, just like the other guy, not blazing speed, but big-bodied guy, where in more of a West Coast offense where it's more ball control, coming out with the quick hitters or even, some of the screens, get the ball in his hands early, let him use that 230 frame and run over the 5'9", 5'10", $190 corners in the NFL.
Yep, absolutely. These big physical guys have a big advantage.
And as far as his draft projections, Walter Football has him. He's the highest one for Walter Football. 19th.
First rounder.
Draft Tech has him at 27.
Another one.
Fantasy Pros has him at 30th. And the draft, the Draft Wire. Unless I somehow missed him, he's not listed.
Yeah, I think that could have been an oversight.
Could have been an oversight there. Either that or it's, the Draft Wire, one of the two. And I'll be honest, I like to read Walter Football, but the rest of the sites, I don't put a lot of stock in them. So moving on to Paris Campbell. Gotta like the names interesting at least.
Right? Yeah, Paris.
Yeah. 6 foot 205 guy out of Ohio State. Projected 4.35.
This guy's fast.
Burner speed. Recorded 90 receptions for 1,063 yards, which really doesn't show burner speed. 12 touchdowns. He has plenty of drops. It's gonna be definitely a knock on him. Limited route tree. For me, when I was watching his film, he really didn't catch a whole lot of intermediate passes. Like, he wasn't catching a lot of passes, over 10 to 20 yards. He was catching some deep balls, but just not some of those intermediate. I think in the 9 minutes that I watched every catch from last year, I think I only counted 3 broken tackles that entire time. I found a whole bunch of missed tackles because he does have the speed. But they used him a lot. They threw to him a lot around the line of scrimmage, whether it was, quick slants or in routes or wide receiver screens. Now, is this a guy that's going to project as a slot wide receiver at the next level?
I think so. I think that's where he's going to belong. I saw them utilize him a lot in like reverses and end rounds and stuff like that. So it kind of reminded me a little bit of a Golden Tate type guy. So I think that if he's going to, well, I don't know, just the way that my initial gut reaction is slot.
Mm-hmm. And
I could be wrong, but
and I think it was him that he had like 35 rushes last year, and mainly like on jet sweeps. Mm-hmm. So this is definitely a guy that can be a weapon at the next level. It's just, is his upside going to be capped because of him being a slot guy?
And if you get a slot guy in the right situation, I mean, wow, they're so valuable. Especially if you're in a PPR league.
Yeah, I mean, you look at
Edelman.
Yeah, well, you seen the flailing of the arms,
yeah. And that could only mean Edelman.
The calling to God, saying, "Whoa, who am I thinking of?" Yeah, an Edelman, an Amendola type that are used in the slot a lot.
Jarvis Landry, even though they're trying to work him a little bit more to the outside and get some more deep passes, but that's where he thrived in Miami.
So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where he goes. And Paris Campbell, let's take a look at where he was taken. He was 37th by Walter Football. Oh boy.
Oh, Draft Tech
fumbled the ball and doesn't have him. Fantasy Pros.
Ooh.
Doesn't have him.
Oh boy.
Maybe I fumbled the ball on this guy.
Well, DraftWire didn't have him either.
DraftWire didn't have anybody. So no, this is a guy that I'm interested in seeing. I really am.
I am too. I was pretty impressed.
No, maybe I'm completely wrong, but maybe Walter Football and I are completely wrong on this guy.
I think given the situation, I think he could come in and make an impact right away.
And here's another guy who may come into the NFL as a slot guy, Deebo Samuel.
Yeah, 6-foot guy, 208 pounds, out of South Carolina. He had 62 receptions, 882 yards, 11 touchdowns. Yeah, he had a little bit of poor QB play, which limited him a little bit in college. But, I mean, he really opened a lot of eyes at the Senior Bowl, Flip, with, phenomenal performance.
Yeah, this is a kid that just destroyed the coverage during the practices at the Senior Bowl and really, really helped out his stock. So, another guy, definitely interested to see what his real 40 time is going to be.
Yeah, I mean, Kuiper, he's got him going to as a mid-high second, even possibly a late first rounder. This guy's got over 2,000 yards, 2,076 yards and 16 touchdowns in his career. He knows how to play.
Yeah, and he's got great after the catch ability.
That's what I saw. He really knows how to extend those plays and get those yak yards. I've seen him make some incredible one-handed catches in the end zone. You saw that too, right?
Yeah, I saw that too, and I was like, wow! Like the very first highlight I saw, was his left-handed snare, and I'm like, wow!
And then you see more, and so and not only is he great there, but they were utilizing him a lot in special teams, as a kick returner. So if the team that drafts him is in need of that and wants to put him out there, he can help them there.
Mm-hmm. Now, I think he's got some durability issues. I believe he had a broken ankle, broken leg. Well, it was either like a broken tibia or a broken ankle. I read two different things. Mm-hmm. I think he had a hamstring issue as well. But, this guy, let's see, Walter Football has Deebo, fun name at least, going 59th. Draft Tech has him 62. Fantasy Pros, 64. And the draft wire.
46.
Yeah, I have him pretty high.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the kid.
Yeah. I was impressed when I watched his tape. You know, it's just, where does he actually fit in the NFL? You know, can he actually play on the outside? You know, to really kind of boost some of his stock.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a guy who definitely can play on the outside is
Yeah.
Kevin Harmon, 6'2", out of NC State. He had 81 receptions for 1,186 yards and 7 touchdowns last year. Excellent at contesting, excellent at catching contested balls. Because one reason is he's an exceptional route runner, but he lacks top end speed and quickness. His 40 time and 3-cone drill at the combine is really going to tell the story of what real potential this kid has. He does have a tendency to be a body catcher, but oddly enough, most body catchers generally have issues with drops, but he does not. Where I was impressed with some of his catches was catching back shoulder catches. Mm-hmm. And he looked really fluid and solid adjusting to the ball.
Which makes, which rises his value, especially once you get in the red zone.
Yes.
So being a red zone threat like that really helps out.
And, some people are, comparing him to Alshon Jeffries, which, when you actually watch some of his highlights, you'll definitely understand that.
So, I can see him fitting well in a system with the quarterback with the big arm, like a Buffalo Bills, with Josh Allen type situation. But yeah, he's a deep threat guy, and again, he's really good at going up and grabbing those, those contested catches, pulling them down, making those plays.
Walter Football has him going 57th. Draft Tech has him going 32nd.
Ooh.
Fantasy Pros, 26th.
Whoa.
And the Draft Wire,
27th.
27th.
So, yeah, a lot of guys like this guy, too.
Yeah, so he's definitely, we'll see what he does on his pro day, whether he's actually going to rise, whether he's going to fall. Be interesting to check this guy out, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Now, here's one guy you have on your list. Do you want to go over him?
Yeah, I feel we've got to talk about him. Riley Ridley. He's 6'2", 200-pound junior.
Who's his brother?
His brother is none other than the current Atlanta Falcons wide receiver, Calvin Ridley.
So he's
got it in his genes. You know what I mean? So he's a great pass catcher. He's got strong hands, precise route running ability. Last year, 44 receptions, 570 yards, 9 touchdowns. His longest reception was only 35 yards, though, Flip. So, and if you look at his 2017 season, 14 receptions, 218 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And then 2016 season, 12 receptions, 238 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Now, some of the big-name guys that put up monster games kind of do that in 1 year. Mm-hmm. So, had some limited playing exposure there, but he makes his hay mostly in the short and intermediate pass routes and has the ability to go up and get and bring down those contested catches. He lacks that breakaway speed, but where he makes up for it is with his physicality and his sure-handedness. So he's a great route runner, good hands, and that spells well, especially if you're going to be a slot guy. He's also 6'2", so he's tall enough to where you can move him on the outside.
Yeah. It's going to depend on where his, another guy, where does your true speed lie?
Mm-hmm. So me personally, I'm not like the biggest Riley Ridley fan, but hey, there's people out there that are.
Well, definitely a name to watch.
Yeah.
Walter Football has him at 62. On the other 3.
Didn't make the list, huh?
No. Surprisingly, no Draft Wire. So who's your favorite guy?
Metcalf.
Metcalf?
Without question.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with you on that as well. Definitely one guy I'm going to be keeping an eye on is the the Paris Campbell.
He's another one.
Just because of that blow away speed, and being 6 foot tall.
Yeah, I would have to totally agree with you. I'd say my top two are Metcalf and Paris Campbell. And again, you may see one of these guys that may not be high on our list initially that may absolutely climb that ladder after we see them in the combine. You may see these guys that are top on our list after the combine fall down. And then ultimately, it just depends where they go.
Yeah.
And how high they're drafted. So if they're drafted in the first 1, 2, 3 rounds, you're going to know that the teams have a lot of interest, a lot of stock built in, and they're going to want to get them into the game right away.
And, we'll review these. We'll probably do, a review show, after the combine, hit the, after free agency, because, boy, we're going to have some time to kill again after free agency's over and before the draft hits. And then we'll definitely hit on them again after the NFL draft when they actually find their new NFL team and see where their true fantasy impact is going to be there. And NFL impact as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We're just a couple short weeks away from the start of the combine. So
excited.
I know.
Excited. Hours of watching, reruns of the combine and who is it? Chris Eisen? No, what's his name?
Rich Eisen?
I knew I was going to butcher that.
Yeah.
Rich Eisen
there we
running
go.
that 40 time. Thinking, he could beat me.
Yeah, that was a sight to behold.
Yeah. So, it's it definitely has been fun. Like, none of these wide receivers blow you out of the water like some of the wide receivers in years past. It's not an overly thrilling wide receiver class. Now, we'll see, after the combine, whether it gets a little more interesting, see if some of these guys that we did not talk about tonight, whether they rise up the list and, make an impact. Such as, Hakeem Butler. This is a huge guy that we did not talk about. This is like a 6'6" guy, I think, out of Iowa State that, caught everything. But, it'll be guys like that easily could rise at the combine by putting up good speed numbers, catching the ball in the gauntlet.
And inevitably, there's going to be people that we just don't know about that we're going to see like, oh,
yeah,
who's this guy?
And, Mel Kiper would be like, I was talking about this guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, you were, Mel, but you were also talking about 80 other guys.
If you talk about them all, you can't claim.
Yeah, you can never be wrong, right?
Yeah, I suppose not.
We could have made this show like 19 hours long and really caught everybody in the NCAA, right? Division 2, Division 3.
Yeah, that way we could say, we talked about him.
We talked about
back
that
in
guy.
February.
That guy. Or, spent like 8 seconds and mentioned his name and his school and his weight. Yes. And we talked about that guy. So what do you think? Do you think this is an inspiring wide receiver draft class? Do you think this is...
I do. I mean, I like it much more than the quarterback class.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
I like it better than the running back class.
Yeah, I would agree with you there, too. The quarterback class was just so ho-hum. And the running back class has so few. I mean, I think we probably talked about more running backs, but there was so many guys that we probably talked about running back wise that were going to be 3rd, 4th round guys. Most of these guys will be in the top, probably be in the top 2 rounds.
Yeah.
So as a whole, it definitely is better. I agree with you.
But overall, pretty solid, and I think we're gonna see more of these guys going off the board before we see more, running backs and Well, I don't know about the quarterbacks part.
You never know with quarterbacks.
I know.
The league is just so desperate. So, well, that wraps up this week's show, and to tell you a little bit about next week's show. We're hoping for, no Steeler drama. Hopefully for
There will be.
No arrests in the meantime.
There will be. But next week, we're going to talk about tight ends.
Tight ends.
Yeah.
Which is actually might be one of the stronger points of the draft.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely some intriguing tight ends out there.
And for me, it's always been kind of like a soft spot in my fantasy heart, so to say. I've always wanted to go after and grab, the big name tight ends, have a couple on my roster. Sometimes, having 2, maybe even 3, maybe with 1 on my taxi squad. I'm a big tight end fan. I feel that they bring, if you can lock yourself into, a top 5, top 7 tight end, you have an advantage because there's such a big drop off from the top 3 tight ends.
Yeah.
So if you can get a guy that's close to that, as opposed to just going out there and desperately trying to stream a tight end from week to week to week, but yeah, so I'm looking forward to next week's episode for sure.
Yeah. And you say that, and I'm in one of my leagues, I'm sitting on O.J. Howard and Evan Ingram, waiting for those 2 to stay healthy, to actually be the next Kelsey.
Yeah, and if both of those stay healthy, well then, wow. I mean, the potential's through the roof.
We will definitely see. So that's another episode of Intentional Streaming. You can always catch us on Twitter. Send us a question. We'll gladly answer it. We'll take it on the show. That's at INT StreamPod. You can always send us an email at intentionalstreaming@gmail.com. So any final words, Jarvis?
I'm really tired of scooping my driveway.
Yeah. I'm really tired of, the snow not melting the snow in my driveway.
So I just hope it's not snowing wherever you're at out there.
Yes. And definitely stay warm. We have less than 2 weeks away until the combine.
Yep.
We're right at 2 weeks.
Yeah, right around there.
A week away?
Yeah.
So maybe it is a week away. Does it start? Oh, I think it does start next week, if I remember right. Or right around there. Guess we should have looked it up, huh? Fumble. Okay, so enough of dilly-dallying around. We'll let you folks get to your evening. And thank you very much for listening to another broadcast of Intentional Streaming.
Appreciate it, guys. See you next week.